Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome back. I'm Fuzz, and today I've got another installment of Back to Basics for you. This is, of course, a series where I focus on topics of interest to those who are new to collecting movies on physical media, or maybe just returning to collecting physical media after being away from it for a long time. Maybe you got the 4K collecting bug, and it just pulled you right back in. That's certainly what happened to me a few years back. So today I wanted to talk about some of the sources and websites I use for purchasing physical media, essentially where I purchase my movies from. I've had a number of people ask me about this over the last year or two, as we've seen a significant decrease in the overall presence of physical media in big box brick and mortar retail stores. Because things have definitely changed a little bit in recent years, just in terms of the overall landscape for physical media. Things have shifted to primarily an online sales market, and this has been especially true in the wake of Best Buy discontinuing their sale of physical media. What was this, about a year and a half ago? I think it was about a year and a half ago. And I know a lot of people had really grown accustomed to the ritual of being able to go down to their Best Buy every Tuesday or every other Tuesday and pick up the latest 4K movie releases of the titles that they were looking for. And of course, other retail chains have followed as well, like Target, for example. So we're not really seeing a whole lot of physical media in brick and mortar stores anymore. Or if we do, it's a very limited selection. You don't have a whole lot of choices. It might even be reduced to just like an end cap at the end of an aisle or something. And I would argue that's to be expected with a niche market like physical media, which is exactly what physical media collecting has become. It's become a niche market. It's no longer this mainstream thing that like everybody uses like we did 25, 30 years ago, long before the convenience of streaming ever became a thing. So it stands to reason that we would see less and less of a physical media presence in mainstream retail stores. And a natural result of having a niche hobby market like this is that online shopping and web store purchasing have become not only the norm, but an absolute necessity for anybody who wants to collect physical media in the modern era. So today I'm going to go over a number of retail websites that I personally purchase my physical media from, both larger retailers and smaller independent distributors. And I'll also offer any tips that I think new collectors out there may appreciate to kind of help maximize your purchasing power in a way that is both strategic and hopefully more cost efficient as well. All right, so let's just get right into it and rock this. All right, so let's start off with the corporations first, the big corporations. And I know not everybody likes buying physical media from a larger corporation, but you know they are very handy for many of us. So we got to talk about them. The first up is my main go-to source, and that is Amazon. And let me go ahead and change my screen over here. There we go. Amazon, right? I'm a big Amazon fan. I've been shopping from Amazon heavily for like 25 years at least, right? And yeah, I'm a big Amazon guy. I don't have a problem admitting that. I don't have a problem buying physical media from Amazon because I think a lot of times you get a pretty decent deal. And there's a lot of benefits to buying physical media from Amazon. Well, first up, I'm a Prime member, and I've been a Prime member for like 20 years. Right. And I think I don't know what it is now. I think it's like $20 a month or something to be a Prime member. But for me, I mean, I buy everything from Amazon, not just physical media, but all kinds of stuff, you know, for the house or whatever. So being a Prime member really pays for itself every month with all the free shipping that I get and the free Prime shipping. And yeah, I mean, that alone is worth it. But I mean, there's some other benefits too. You get Prime Video and all that. But I mainly like it for the Prime shipping and being able to get things shipped to my house quickly. 2-day shipping, sometimes 1-day shipping, sometimes same-day shipping. It just depends on what the item is that I'm ordering. So that's one of the reasons I like Amazon. It's free shipping for me as a Prime member, and so anything I can order from them, that's going to save a little bit of money there, right? The other thing I like, or another thing I like about Amazon, is the easy return process. They make it very convenient to return things, at least for me. Now, depending on where you live, maybe it's not quite as convenient. I happen to be really close to an Amazon drop-off. A drop-off point, which is like just a couple miles down the road. So if I get a damaged disc or something like that, it's not that big of a deal for me to just go and drop it off. And, you can do the whole return automated online on your account. You can initiate the return online, and you don't even, in many cases, you don't even have to pack up the item back up in an envelope or anything like that and ship it. All you got to do is take it into the drop-off point. They scan your return code, and then you just hand them the item, and you're good to go. So I like how easy and convenient the return process is. And that's a big one for me when I'm ordering physical media, especially if we're talking about something ultra collectible like a chunky box or a steelbook. Because if it gets damaged, if there's some sort of dent or ding, or if there's a problem with it somehow, I want to be able to easily return it naturally, right? And exchange it for another copy. And Amazon makes that pretty convenient and pretty easy. And so I do appreciate that about them. And then the other thing I really like about Amazon, and apparently they're not the only ones doing this now, but this was kind of their thing for a while, their pre-ordering process. First off, they don't charge you anything up front when you pre-order a disc, right? If you get a new release that's coming out and the pre-order listing just went live, they will not charge you anything up front. They don't even put like a hold on my account or anything. You're literally just like reserving a copy of the item for yourself, right? And then they charge you for the item when it's closer to the release date. Once they get ready to ship the item, that's when they charge you for it. And so I really appreciate that, because a lot of times with physical media, you have to, you got to pay up front. Especially with these smaller boutiques, which I will be talking about here a little bit later in the video. So I appreciate a situation where if Amazon has a title I'm looking for on pre-order, I don't necessarily have to be out of pocket the money right up front. I can just wait until it ships. And that may be a deciding factor on the timing of pre-ordering certain items for many people. Sometimes it is for me. Absolutely, especially if we're talking about like a multi-film like steelbook box set collection that's quite pricey, right? The timing of when you would have to actually pay, physically be out the cash for a set like that could be a factor for many of us. The other thing I like about Amazon's pre-order process is their lowest price guarantee. That's an awesome thing that they do, and that has been one of the key reasons that I often pre-order from Amazon, because you may notice, like when a title first goes up, like when the listing first goes live, they may actually have it listed for a pretty high price, right? Especially if it's hang on a sec here. Especially if it's like one of these Arrow chunky boxes, right? Like one of these thick chunky boxes, they may have something like this listed for, $50 or $60 at first. But one thing I've noticed about Amazon is it doesn't usually stay at that price. What happens with Amazon is you pre-order it, and then usually at some point the price drops at least a little bit, if not fairly substantially. And how much that price drops during the course of the pre-order period is going to depend on the label and the title and that kind of thing. But essentially, their pre-order lowest price guarantee is once you place your pre-order, you'll automatically get it for whatever the lowest price is the item drops to after you pre-ordered it, but before release date or by release day. And, that's a pretty good deal, because sometimes their prices fluctuate a little bit, and it's nice to know that you're automatically going to get whatever the lowest price is. And because they don't charge you up front, of course, they're not going to charge you for that full price. If, at the higher price that they initially list the item at, they're not going to charge you that because they're not charging you anything up front. So you really don't get charged anything until the price is settled down to what it's actually going to be. Again, an Arrow box set like this, they might initially list it for, $50 or $60, but then over time, by the time release date comes, it may only be $35. That is not uncommon for Arrow box sets being sold on Amazon. So whenever possible, a lot of times I will, well, not always, because sometimes I want to actually receive it earlier than that, and I'll get to that here in a little bit with some of the other sources I'm going to be talking about. But a lot of times I will pre-order a lot of Arrow releases from Amazon because I know the price is likely to drop during that pre-order period, and I'll probably end up getting it for a decent price. I mean, $35 for a nice, thick, chunky box edition like that, that's actually a pretty reasonable price for something like this. So I really appreciate that Amazon does that lowest price guarantee on their pre-orders, and I've certainly taken advantage of it a lot of times and gotten some pretty nice editions for a really low price. In fact, one time I got, let me see here, this one I'll never forget. And this is a few years ago before, the inflation kicked in and all that, right? But my True Romance, this thing I only got for like $28, and this is a nice deluxe steelbook chunky box edition, right? And it was like, it was initially listed at like $65 or something like that when this listing first went live on Amazon. But by the time release date came, this had dropped down to like $28.99 or something like that, which was, back then, was a ridiculously low price for a nice edition like this. So sometimes you can really benefit from the lowest price guarantee. Now, that doesn't mean they're always going to drop down really low. It kind of depends on what it is. If it's like an Amazon exclusive steelbook or something that you could only get at Amazon, it might not drop that much at all. It might only drop by a couple bucks. Because I think they charge a little bit more for their exclusive products. I want to say like $45 seems to be their go-to price for Amazon exclusive 4Ks of single movie titles. But so it just depends on what it is. Some labels will allow a little bit more flexibility with the pricing than others. I suspect Arrow is one of those labels that allows a little bit more flexibility. A company like Screen Factory, Shout Studios, they're not as flexible. There's not as much of a fluctuation between their highest and lowest prices, in terms of like Amazon listings. The price will drop a little bit, but the Screen Factory or Shout Studios releases, they never really drop that much because they're just set at a little bit higher price point. And, they must have some kind of agreement with Amazon to, not go below a certain price for their titles, some kind of map pricing or something like that. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Amazon. I buy quite a few titles from them, and I just like the convenience of what they offer. And occasionally I'll get something screwed up, a damaged item or something that's not quite right that needs to be returned. And they don't always package physical media as well as I would like to see them do. But most of the time, everything arrives to me okay, and it's not a problem. And, occasionally I'll have something I'll have to return, but most of the time, that's not really an issue for me. Most of the time, I seem to have pretty good luck and success using Amazon. One last thing I wanted to mention before we move on here is that sometimes you have to be a little creative in how you search for titles on Amazon. Sometimes things that are not in stock don't always come up in your search results the way you would think they would. In fact, let's just do a little search here real quick just to see if I can show you what I'm talking about. Because sometimes, let's see here, let's search for the Dark Knight trilogy, since I had searched for that earlier to kind of test this. I always put the title of the movie and then put 4K or 4K UHD dark. Let's see here. There we go. Let's get that in there. Let's bring that up here. And Dark Knight Trilogy 4K. Now I'm interested. This is the one I have right here. But I'm interested in a steelbook set that is all sold out now. And this is an Amazon exclusive. And I don't know how much it was, probably a couple $100, but this is what I was looking for. And it did actually come up in the search result. I wasn't sure if it would. Sometimes, like I said, things that are out of stock don't always come up in the search results. But this one did. And unfortunately, I missed this. I didn't get to pre-order this before it sold out. I'm kind of bummed, you know, because I was checking on it the other day and I noticed it said the same thing, currently unavailable. And then I noticed James over at In Search of Physical Media, he indicated on his video today that they were back in stock. And as soon as I caught that video, I went and immediately looked at the link, and it was back to sold out. Right. So I'm kind of shit out of luck on this one because I was actually interested in this. I've been wanting to get one of these cool Steelbook box sets for a while. I mean, look how cool that looks. This looks awesome. And I don't know if they're going to get any more. I'm kind of thinking they're probably not, but I'm hoping maybe we will get some more. I don't know. It's Warner Brothers, so who knows? Maybe we'll get lucky. But if they come back in stock, I'm definitely going to jump on this because I would not mind having the Dark Knight trilogy and something a little nicer than the just standard edition set that I have. So, but let's see. Let's try and do a search for something else here. What can I think of? Alien 4K, since that's like a general. Oh, and that comes right up as well. But sometimes weird things happen. Like this is actually a good example. Because notice there's a couple different Alien 4Ks here. Or sometimes you can hone in on it and type like 4K UHD. You know, and that it kind of changes the results a little bit. And that when you do that, then it removed the other one and just has this lower priced domestic 4K. I assume the other one, this may be like an import or something. And that's why it costs a little bit more. I don't know, you know, but that'll happen sometimes. Sometimes they have two different listings for the same thing, and one might be an import, one might be domestic. It's hard to say, but this is the domestic one right here, the $17.99 one, which is not a bad price actually for that. Of course, the slip covers are long gone on that, which really bums me out. I would love to have a nice collectible edition of Alien in my collection, but no such luck right now. So anyway, so you just have to play with the searching. You know, if something doesn't come up the way you want it to, you just got to be creative. You know, always make sure you spell the movie name right and type like 4K, you know, the movie name plus 4K or 4K UHD. Or sometimes you might even need to hone it in more and type 4K Blu-ray, BLU-RAY. And it might change the results that you get. It might actually you know, deliver slightly different results than other searches. So sometimes it can be kind of hard to find certain things on Amazon, but I mean, most of the time, you know, if you're fairly savvy with your searching, you should be able to get it to come up. But I have noticed some weird things. Sometimes if, like I said, if an item is out of stock, it's harder to get it to come up in search. So just be mindful of that when you're searching on Amazon. All right, so enough about Amazon for now. Let's move on to Walmart here, which I'm not going to have a whole lot to say about Walmart because I don't really buy from them that often, but occasionally I will buy something from them if they have a particular item that I couldn't get from Amazon or that I couldn't get elsewhere, or if they have it for a really good price. You know, sometimes that's a factor. I do prefer to save money wherever possible. I mean, I don't take it to the extreme and like do extreme price comparisons at 100 different websites or anything like that. But I do like to try and keep an eye on things, and if I can get it for a lower price, that's certainly preferred. But Walmart sometimes has some really cool, like exclusive steelbooks that you can't get anywhere else. And if that's the case, I will definitely make a point of grabbing one of those. But I don't really use them all that often. You know, occasionally I'll buy something from them, but most of the time, Amazon is my go-to. So I'm not going to say a whole lot about them, but you can certainly find physical media here too. In fact, let's try searching for the same thing here, Dark Knight Trilogy 4K. Let's take a look there, and oh, look at that! They got the steelbook there. Now, how is that possible if it's an Amazon exclusive? I'm not getting that. Of course, they're out of stock. But they do have a price here. It looks like $190. And, you know, if they ever get these back in stock, that would be awesome. But apparently they must have had some in stock. I don't know how this works with Amazon, if it was, or with the, if it was an Amazon exclusive. I'm not sure how this would work with Walmart, but same deal here. You know, you can search for anything on Walmart just like you can Amazon. So not a whole lot to say about Walmart. Oh, one other thing I will say though, in fact, Let's click back on this here for a second. There's something I saw here that really caught my attention. Oh yeah, look at that. Right here, there appears to be a pre-order price guarantee. So it looks like Walmart has started doing the same thing that Amazon does with their pre-order lowest price. You know, they'll charge you whatever the lowest price is after you pre-order it, but before release day. So I don't know if that means their prices are going to fluctuate at all. I mean, I don't know how frequently, Walmart prices change. Like, I know that's kind of a thing with Amazon, but I don't know how much of a thing that it actually is with Walmart. So, the prices might not fluctuate that much on Walmart, but interesting that they're doing that. They're obviously trying to compete with Amazon. That's a popular feature on Amazon. So that's cool that they're doing that. I don't think I've ever pre-ordered from them since they've had that in place. I don't remember them having that in place before. So, and of course with Walmart, I don't order from them because I have to pay for shipping, right? I don't know what their free shipping threshold is, but, I just would rather stick with Amazon and use my free Prime member shipping. And, I've just been using Amazon for so long that I don't really use Walmart a whole lot, but they are available and sometimes their prices are pretty damn good. So if you're looking to save money, Walmart might be a site that you want to take a look at. And, especially for like older titles that have been on 4K for a while, where if you don't necessarily need a slipcover and you're fine with just the, because, these older titles, the slipcovers are long gone and out of print, right? So you can only really get them on like eBay or whatever. But if you don't need a slipcover, if you're cool with just a standard edition and no fancy packaging or anything, you can actually get some really good deals on Walmart's website for certain titles. And I'm sure, I don't know what their sales are or when they have their, what kind of regular sales they have in this regard, but I'm sure they have their sales. And, there have been a few times where I picked up things when these titles were on sale. I'd take advantage of a good sale. So you do sometimes get some pretty good deals on Walmart. So that's worth keeping in mind. But let's go ahead and move on now. All right, let's move on to Groove.com next. Groove is a very cool site. This is the retail website for Universal Pictures, but it's not just Universal titles that they carry at Groove. They service all of the SDS titles, right? Studio Distribution Services, which for those who don't know, SDS was like a joint distribution agreement between Universal and Warner Brothers. Right. And so SDS releases both Universal and Warner Brothers titles. And I don't know, there may be some other studio in there as well. I don't remember, but I know at least Universal and Warner Brothers titles are included on Groove's website. The cool thing about Groove is that they often have all kinds of cool sales and deals that you can get. Like right here, it says the summer Blu-ray deals, 2 for $16. They do stuff like that all the time, right? Like kids and families movies here. But seems like they always got some kind of sale or something going on. And even when they don't, their prices are fairly reasonable. They don't charge you an arm and a leg. It's what you would expect to pay for 4K, but it's not, they're not price gouging you or anything like that. And of course, you can pre-order Superman from them here. They've got tons of cool titles. And like I said, it's Warner Brothers and Warner Brothers and Universal titles. I don't know if there's any MGM in here as well. I can't remember. I feel like there's at least one other studio that's kind of included as part of this, but I could be totally wrong. I don't remember. But like here you go. You got the new Conjuring Steelbook here. Now, I don't order from Groove all that often, but I have ordered from them like a handful of times. And, if they have a steelbook or some cool collectible edition that I've got my eye on, I will order from them, especially if it's at a really good price, right? Like here, like the Conjuring here, right? But their prices are pretty reasonable. They're not over the top, and they have a really good selection as long as you're cool with, focusing primarily on Warner Brothers and Universal titles. But I've gotten a lot of good deals from them. There's been a number of sales that they've done that I've taken advantage of. So, and I've never had a bad experience ordering from them either. I've never had to deal with their customer service. So, if I had to return something at some point, I don't know how that would go. But I've never had a problem with them where I even needed to return something. All the transactions I've had have been smooth transactions with Groove. So, and they seem to package the items fairly well. You know, a little bit better than Amazon, although maybe not quite as good as some of these smaller boutique labels might. But yeah, Groove's a great site. So I recommend checking them out, especially if you're new to collecting. You know, if you're new to collecting and you're catching up on all these 4K titles that are now only available on standard editions that you missed from, you know, that came out a number of years ago, Groove is really good for that kind of thing. Because you can get some decent deals on older titles that, you know, no longer have slipcovers or whatever. They're just standard edition Amaray cases. But again, if you don't need fancy packaging or, you know, fancy out of print packaging, then, you know, Groove might be another one of those sites you want to check out, because you can get movies for pretty decent prices on Groove. So yeah, check them out. All right, so we're done talking about the really big corporations, or I should say most of them. So let's move on to deepdiscount.com. They're a more independent retailer here. You know, I've used them a few times. I don't use them all that often, but I will say their prices are really good. They tend to have a little bit lower prices than on average. You know, even if it's only by a buck or two, their prices tend to be a little bit lower. And it's, you know, you don't always know what you're getting. You know, like you don't know if you're going to get a slipcover or not. You know, it just depends on the title. I mean, if you pre-order a movie from them, and you know, there's a good chance you'll get a slipcover. You know, because the slipcovers are available when they first come out, and they don't usually sell out until later on, right? The slip-covered editions, but sometimes it may not be clear from looking at that site, or at their site here at Deep Discount, what exactly you're going to be getting. So I would give the same advice that I would for anyone you know, shopping at Groove, right? Or if you're relatively new to 4K and you're still catching up on all these old titles that came out before you were collecting and have long since run out of slipcovers, then if you don't mind standard edition Amaray cases with no slipcover, then check out Deep Discount. This might actually be a site that you want to take advantage of. You know, I've never had to deal with their customer service, never needed to for anything. So I don't know what that experience is like. I can't speak to that, but I've never had a problem with anything I've ever picked up from them. Everything from what I remember, I think it's probably been about 1.5 years, 2 years since I bought anything from them. It's been a little while because I'm usually finding what I need on Amazon or some other source. But this is just another option for you guys to have, you know, another tool in your toolkit, in your arsenal of physical media purchasing power. Although one thing I will say is their search function on Deep Discount kind of sucks. I mean, I seem to, sometimes things don't come up that you think would come up. Let's just try and type Alien 4K and see what happens. Yeah, sometimes you'll get weird stuff, right? That's obviously not what we're looking for there, is it? But notice the regular, like, Ridley Scott Alien didn't come up in the search results. So their search is kind of fucked. I don't know what the deal is with their search, but it's kind of crappy. So, you know, you just have to be okay with browsing, or you have to, you know, get really creative in how you search and try and search for it in different ways, you know? But aside from that, I think they're a pretty solid site. And again, you can get some good prices from them. So yeah, check them out if that sounds like a site you'd be interested in using. Deep Discount. By the way, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, do me a favor and please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you do, don't forget to activate that notification bell as well so you can be alerted when I'm posting videos that you might enjoy. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're feeling so inclined. It really does help with the YouTube algorithm and the channel's visibility. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. All right, so far I've been talking about basically sites that carry a lot of U.S. domestic releases, right? Amazon, Walmart, Groove. A lot of that's all U.S. releases, right? Standard U.S. releases. However, there are two sites in particular that I like to use for imports. Right, from from either the UK or Australia. There are a couple sites here that I use with some degree of regularity. One in particular is Orbit DVD. This is an independent retailer, and in fact, they just redesigned their website, so some things look a little bit different here. But then, I hadn't even really seen this. I haven't browsed around on their new website or whatnot. But they redesigned their website. So if this looks a little different, those of you who know Orbit, this may look a little different than the last time you used them. But they're a great site. They carry a lot of cool, limited edition box sets from Arrow Video, Second Sight Films, or maybe Imprint Films. They have that, they had that Keep box set, that giant Keep box set that I was talking about not too long ago. They sold out of that. The main reason I use Orbit DVD is for the imports. Occasionally I'll buy a US Arrow Video release from them because sometimes they get stuff early and they'll ship them out to you early. That's one of the key benefits of ordering some of these boutique items from Orbit DVD. They will sometimes ship them out to you a little early and you don't have to wait quite as long. Now, the downside with Orbit DVD is, of course, you have to pay up front. Right? You don't get that Amazon just reserve your copy but not pay up front. No, with Orbit, you got to pay up front. And I understand that. This is a very small independent retailer, right? This isn't some big company like Amazon. For example, here, let me switch over to my other screen real quick. For example, I bought scanners. This Scanners, David Cronenberg Scanners chunky box from Second Sight Films. I did a review of it on the channel. I bought this from Orbit DVD, along with the other Cronenberg one I bought at the same time, The Brood, which came out around the same time. Sometimes there are certain titles that have really nice releases, but those releases are only happening in the UK or in Australia, right? And so you're not going to be able to find things like this necessarily on Amazon, or you might find it, actually Scanners, you might. Sometimes they have some Second Sight stuff, but or maybe even some Arrow stuff, but it's going to cost you a lot more. Right? Orbit DVD, their prices are really reasonable. They're really reasonable. I think this was $46 for this nice chunky box, which for a Second Sight chunky box, that's a pretty reasonable price. I mean, I know it's not super cheap, but you get a really nice edition with all kinds of goodies in there. So you can't go wrong with something like that. I really I love Orbit DVD. They're kind of my go-to for imports right now. Occasionally I'll order from the other side I'm going to talk about here in just a moment. But Orbit, I like Orbit a lot. And they ship really fast too. Sometimes you place an order in the morning and they'll have it shipped to you within or generate a tracking code within an hour or two. I've seen that happen before. They're really on top of their game and they have excellent customer service. They package things up really nicely, lots of bubble wrap so you don't get any damaged products or anything like that. They just do a great job. They really seem to have that collector mindset, or they understand the collector mindset. And so they treat their customers with a lot of respect. And I really appreciate that. Okay, so let's take a look. Let's go ahead and look up Scanners right now. Scanners 4K in their search here. And there it is, the limited edition version. There's also a standard version. If you don't want the fancy chunky box, you can just get a standard edition and spend a little less money. But let's go ahead and look and see. Oh, it's even still available, and that's the price, $46.99 still. So if you're a fan of Scanners, of David Cronenberg Scanners, and you haven't picked this up, it's still available. And keep in mind with these chunky boxes, usually once they're gone, they're gone. They are limited edition, so they don't stay in stock forever. There's usually a limited quantity, and then once those sell out, then they end up being quite expensive on the secondary market, like eBay, right? Let's go ahead and look up The Brood, see if The Brood's still in stock. The Brood was the other one that came up. Oh, there it is right there. Well, that was a nice search. All right, same deal. Looks like it's still in stock, same price. So if you're in the market for a couple Cronenberg 4Ks, these were never released on 4K in the US, at least not yet. I'm sure we'll probably get them on 4K at some point in the US, but right now it's just these UK releases for Scanners and The Brood. So it's for things like that That's why I like Orbit DVD. They are just awesome at keeping the imports in stock and allowing me to get things that I want without having to order from overseas. You know, if you're not a big fan of ordering anything from overseas, then, you know, Orbit, they're in like North Carolina, right? These are U.S. Independent retailers here. They are located in the U.S. So if you're not comfortable with importing things from overseas, ordering from Second Sight directly or Arrow Video directly, then you can always, you can always use Orbit and keep it here in the U.S. But keep in mind, Orbit is not the only independent retailer I dig. The other one I really like a lot is Diabolik DVD. It's just basically, I think it's run by one guy, right? And actually, Orbit might be the same, or it might be run by just a couple people, right? These are really small businesses. But Diabolik DVD is the same kind of thing as Orbit, really. They're very, very comparable, both in prices, their pricing, their availability. If Orbit doesn't have a particular import, if they've run out of stock on a particular limited edition chunky box, you can always run over to Diabolik DVD and check their site, because there's a good chance they might have it in, even if Orbit doesn't, or vice versa. Right? That happens sometimes. So in fact, let's go ahead and look on their site, and let's do the same search, scanners, 4K. Now, their search function isn't as cool. You don't see a lot of suggestions there or anything, but there it is. See, limited editions down here. Of course, they have old Blu-rays and all kinds of stuff, but yeah, it looks like you can still get it from them too. But notice their price is a little different. They're $49.99. All right, so in that case, I would get it from Orbit, because it's, you know, a few dollars cheaper. And that's in fact what I did when the scanners and the Brood came out. I picked them up from Orbit. But either way, this is a great site run by a guy named Jesse Nelson, I believe. And again, just like with Orbit DVD, you know, he's got a collector's mindset. He understands collecting, you know, and how collectors think. And that's something that is really valuable. You know, Diabolik DVD also, you know, they package their stuff up really good as well. Just like Orbit, they, you know, put it in a box, lots of bubble wrap, so very secure. They really they take care of their customers. Jesse Nelson is always looking out for his customers, and he also, it's worth noting, Jesse Nelson he's got his own boutique label, Cauldron Films, and they put out a lot of like cult horror and that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, Diabolik DVD is just as good as Orbit DVD. You can't go wrong using either of these stellar small businesses, and I do like to reward them when I can. And sometimes I will deliberately not purchase something from Amazon, and I'll purchase something from either Diabolik or Orbit, just because I know there's a good chance that it might arrive a little quicker, even if it's not an import, even if it's a US release. Sometimes that is a factor, you know. And again, they charge up front. Diabolik charges up front for pre-orders, just like with Orbit DVD. So, I mean, that's to be expected, I think, with you know, a small independent retailer like that, you know. Again, they're not some big giant company like you know, Amazon with unlimited resources. So they're running a business, and they got to make sure that they do it the right way. So if you haven't checked out Diabolik DVD in the past, that's another one I can give a high recommendation for. Great little business. They carry the same cool stuff from Arrow Video and Second Sight. In fact, I actually bought Videodrome from them. This is a UK-only release again, right? Or at least this version of this film. I think it was Criterion that got the 4K release here in the US. But I didn't want the Criterion one. I wanted the nice, you know, the nice chunky box from Arrow, which I love. You know, Arrow is one of my favorite boutiques. They just do awesome work. And so when I saw the design for this, I had to have it. And it was absolutely a pre-order for me. Actually, I think the Criterion one didn't come out for a few months after this one. So I think this was the first one that I saw, and I might have known that it was coming to Criterion, but it didn't. I don't think it got released first. I think this one actually got released first. But great film with James Wood, another Cronenberg film here. It just so happens. So I don't know what the deal is. I guess I'm getting all my Cronenberg from these from Diabolik DVD and Orbit. So, but yeah, this is a great release, by the way. And if you haven't seen this film, I'd highly recommend it. In stellar looking 4K. But I'm getting a little bit off track there. So anyway, if you're looking for a good independent retailer to pick up imports from, collectible chunky boxes and steel books and that kind of thing, I can highly recommend Diabolik DVD and Orbit DVD. They are both just excellent businesses, and they care about their customers. They are stand-up people, and you just can't go wrong using either of those businesses. So yeah, Diabolik DVD and Orbit DVD. Oh, and keep in mind, for all of the different websites I'm talking about today, I will have links in the description for every website, so you can be sure to check out those links if any of those sites are of interest to you. All right, so far, recapping briefly, we've learned that for a lot of domestic releases, most domestic releases, I'm kind of an Amazon guy, right? Amazon's kind of my go-to, but for imports and specialty items, and sometimes even domestic releases as well, I also like to use Orbit DVD and or Diabolik DVD. So those are my main sources that I tend to buy from the most these days. However, those are, of course, not my only sources, because I also like to buy from certain boutiques directly. And the first one I want to talk about is Lionsgate Limited. Because they're awesome. And now, Lionsgate, I know that's a larger company, a little bit bigger, right? A bigger name. Doesn't really strike you as a boutique, right? Well, what they did, I think it was last November, toward the end of last year, they launched LionsGateLimited.com, right? And this is a site that deals exclusively with like collectible editions, right? Some of their nicer box sets. In fact, let me get my camera over here. Let me pull this up. Hang on a sec here. I forgot to bring these up before I started recording this segment. I've gotten some cool things from them. I've only used them a couple times so far, but they have some really, really nice additions. I got this cool Den of Thieves dual steelbook collection, right? It's both films on steelbook. You get two different steelbooks. Has a little magnetic clasp here. And I'm not going to like go through the whole thing, but there are two steelbooks in here, and it's just a very, very cool set, especially if you're a fan of the Den of Thieves films, which I am. I'm a fan of heist films. I've said it before. I'm a sucker for a good heist film. So when I saw that these were coming to 4K, I was like, yeah, I definitely, I got to get this set. And this was actually a pretty affordable price too. I got this for, I think it was like $59.99, which for two 4K movies and two steelbooks inside a nice, rigid hard box like this, that's actually a pretty reasonable price, right? I mean, you would expect to pay on average for just a standard edition new 4K when it comes out on release day, on average around $30, give or take, right? Depending on the label and title. So, for $60 to get two steelbooks and get two movies on 4K, yeah, I was loving it. I thought that was a pretty good deal. But some titles are a little bit more than that. For example, I did a review on the Conversation at one point on the channel, and this is a massive chunky box. Just an awesome chunky box from Lionsgate here. And I'm not going to break into all this and show you everything that's in this, but I did have a dedicated video where I did review this in detail and show you everything that's in it. So check that out on the channel if you haven't seen it and you're interested in this one. But this one was a little bit more. It's a single movie, and I think this was I think it was like $79.99. So this was a pricier release. So it just depends on what the title is and what kind of treatment they're giving it. This is obviously a pretty substantive box set. There's a little bit more to this box set than just a steelbook with the movie, right? Which is what these were, just two steelbooks with the movies. There's not a whole lot there. I think there's a few bonus features, but you're not getting a bunch of extra stuff. There's no book or poster or anything like that in here. It's just the movies and the steelbooks. So, I don't know. I can understand why they would charge what they would charge for something like that. I mean, this is an incredible release. But those are the kinds of things they have. But they also have steelbooks too. Oh, and this is actually a steelbook inside here as well. They also have steelbooks, and let's take a look here. We'll go to new releases here and see what they got. I know Frailty just came out. That's not a steelbook here, but actually, I don't know if that's a steelbook inside or not. I haven't looked at it in detail. And that I know it's a chunky box, and $39.99 for a chunky box. That's not that unreasonable. I mean, for a really nice collectible edition like this, yeah, that is not unreasonable. That's not an unreasonable price. Some people, I mean, it is, maybe higher than some are comfortable paying for, but for a limited collectible edition like that, $39.99 seems fairly reasonable in 2025 in the modern era, right? Let's take a look at these limited editions. Let's see. I'm trying to find. There was one thing in particular I wanted to show you guys. Let's just do a search here. Basic Instinct. That's what I wanted to show you. That's what I was kind of looking for. So they have these cool steel books with, Lionsgate does some of the best steel books out there. They have these cool, clear, plastic printed slip covers, color printed that slide over the steel book and protect it. Yeah, look at that. How cool is that? There's the actual steelbook, and there you can kind of see the whole deal there. Yeah, you got to love these clear plastic printed slipcovers. They're awesome, and I've been tempted to pick this one up, and it's still available. $34.99 for a steelbook. Yeah, that is not an unreasonable price for a collectible steelbook. I've heard some people complain about the prices, but Lionsgate Limited is not unreasonable. They're actually, as far as, the whole boutique thing goes, I mean, this is their boutique version of Lionsgate. This is like their boutique wing, and they're trying to give you a more premium boutique-y experience here, right? But it doesn't sound like they're going nuts on the price here. Like, these things are reasonably priced, So I would definitely recommend bookmarking this site, because a lot of these limited edition releases, in fact, maybe all of the stuff on this site, you can only buy it from Lionsgate Limited. So that's why I buy from them directly, right? Usually I will only buy from a boutique directly if they have something unique and collectible that I can only get from their website, right? Otherwise, if it's something that's available on Amazon or at Orbit DVD or something, I'll just buy it there. But if I can only get it from the actual boutique website, that's when I usually purchase directly from those boutiques. So yeah, Lionsgate Limited, definitely a company I'd recommend. Oh, and the few times I've ordered from them, I've had a great experience. They really package things up nicely, lots of bubble wrap. And this conversation was ridiculously well packed. It was so good. I had so much bubble wrap in there, and they ship them in a box and everything. So you can order with confidence from them that they're not going to, just jerk you around and send a box set just like rolling around loosely in a box. No, they pack things in there really good, and they seem to take care of their customers as best as I can tell. So I've been pretty happy with my experience with Lionsgate Limited so far. I've had a really good experience. So yeah, I definitely recommend checking them out and maybe seeing what other releases they have that you might be interested in. All right, and I've got a number of boutiques listed here. I am not going to go through and show you every boutique website that I like. A lot of times there are certain boutiques that I only buy from once in a while when they have a title that I want, but it's not like a regular practice, right? But I do want to make you aware of some of these boutiques. And again, I'll put links down in the description below to everything I talk about here today, so you guys can check it out and peruse their catalogs and inventory at your leisure. So Lionsgate Limited, that's the last of the major label boutiques, right? But next up, we've got Vinegar Syndrome here, and I've talked a lot about Vinegar Syndrome on the channel before. I'm not going to spend much time on their website. They have a very unique business model, and it does take a little while to kind of get used to how they are. Not too long, but once you've been gone through a couple sales with them, you start to see kind of how they do things. They have a very unique and specific way of doing things, and they're just a little bit different than your average boutique. But they have some really nice collectible editions, and you can only get them at their website. Right? Or a couple independent retailers like Diabolik DVD will carry some Vinegar Syndrome stuff. Orbit DVD used to, but I don't think they're going to anymore. But yeah, I mean, the main reason I order from Vinegar Syndrome directly is because I like their collectible packaging, and I want to get my hands on it, right? But they have really cool stuff. Like here's my slipcover for Amityville. Even the slipcovers, if you want just a slipcover, you still have to get it through Vinegar Syndrome or Orbit or Diabolik, or not Orbit anymore, but Diabolik, right? Yeah, you pretty much just count on ordering directly from Vinegar Syndrome for anything that's could be considered collectible packaging, slipcover, box set, whatever. But they do have amazing slipcovers. This was a great one that's long out of print. I mean, this not the you can buy a standard edition 4K, but the actual slipcover is out of print, right? In fact, they actually recently produced a new variant slipcover for those who never got this slipcover. So, which I didn't get. I didn't care about it. I was fine just having that. Vinegar Syndrome, of course, also has their VSU boxes, which are super cool. The nice chunky boxes with the magnetic clasp there, and I'll open it up here. You get that kind of action. You get a slip-covered edition inside. I'm not going to show you the whole thing, but Congo here. So yeah, I do like to order from Vinegar Syndrome from time to time. Well, I order from them when they have a title that I care about. Now, the only thing that's weird about Vinegar Syndrome is they got a lot of weird shit. Right? They got a lot of weird shit that I don't really care about. But when they release a movie that I'm interested in, I absolutely usually tend to jump on it right away because they do great quality. Their customer service is excellent. They may be a little slower shipping than some people are comfortable with, but that's just kind of part of how they're set up. And Vinegar Syndrome customers are used to that. We understand that. So yeah, I do like to pick up titles from them periodically. Probably several times a year, I'll pick up a few things from them when they have stuff that I'm interested in. Again, a lot of times they have stuff that I just don't really care about. But if it's a title I care about and want to own, I'll absolutely buy it from them directly. So yeah, I really dig Vinegar Syndrome. All right, now let's talk about Arrow Video real quick. I actually don't usually buy from Arrow Video directly. In fact, I don't think I ever have, because usually I'm able to get the Arrow releases I want from other sources. Either Amazon, if it's an Arrow US Arrow release, I can usually just get it from Amazon. Their pre-order lowest price guarantee that I was talking about earlier. Yeah, a lot of times I'll just do that and get it from Amazon, right? Or again, if it's a UK import, I'll get it from Diabolik DVD. If it's a UK only release from Arrow. Now, the situation with Arrow Video is a little bit weird because they operate in different zones, and depending on where they're operating, that determines what kind of releases you get. In other words, there are some movies they don't have the license to release worldwide, right? For some movies, they only have the licenses to release those movies in the UK. And for other movies, they may only have the license to release them in the US. And then still other movies they're able to release worldwide, both in the UK and US. So it kind of just depends on the title. Right. And it depends on, whether some other U.S. company already has the license for that movie as to whether or not they're going to be, it's just going to be like a UK only release or a US only release. Really just depends. Right. And as such, they have two different websites, and it's kind of confusing. Right? If you don't know what's what, it can kind of throw you off a little bit. So let me lay it out this way. If you want to see the UK Arrow website, then you go to arrowfilms.com. But if you want the US website, then you want to go to arrowvideo.com. Right? So arrowvideo.com for the US, arrowfilms.com for the UK. And then, of course, those respective websites will only show you the releases that they have available for that country, right? So the U.S. website is only going to have U.S. releases, U.S. Arrow Video releases, and the U.K. website is only going to have U.K. Arrow Video releases. So I don't order from them. I've never ordered from them, and I don't really need to. They do have some really good sales sometimes, but I always feel like I get what I want for a little bit better deal from either Amazon or Orbit DVD or Diabolik, right? Now, their prices, the thing about Arrow, their prices aren't like crazy outlandish or anything, but I do feel like I can usually save at least a few dollars by getting it from another source, and so I don't do that. I don't order from their website for that reason. Now, one thing worth noting about Arrow video releases, I tend to order Arrow stuff from Orbit DVD a lot, especially the UK imports, but even US releases from Arrow, I tend to order from Orbit DVD if I'm not doing it on Amazon. And that's because Orbit DVD tends to get those titles in early. So if you do order it early from Orbit DVD and you don't mind paying up front for the release, then you may actually end up getting that title in your hot little hands like 2 weeks early, well before the release date. So that's definitely one of the benefits to ordering from someplace like Orbit or even Diabolik DVD over Amazon. But sometimes I just stick with my Amazon pre-order because it's easy. But Arrow Video, one of my favorite boutiques. Yeah, I'll put a link to their websites, both websites, in the description below, and I'll make it clear which one's which, in case you guys want to check out their websites. They do have good sales. I mean, you can see they have a summer scares sale on right now. Right, so that might be something some of you want to check out and take advantage of. So yeah, Arrow Video, awesome boutique. They're my favorite boutique. I think on average, they tend to deliver some of the best releases out there, both best looking and some amazing packaging as well. So yeah, you can't go wrong with Arrow. All right, next up, I do want to mention Shout Factory real quick here, because they're pretty awesome. Here, let me refresh this. And they actually, it looks like they have a martial arts sale going on here right now. So they do have some good sales at Shout Factory. You go to shoutfactory.com for all things Shout and Scream Factory. Yeah, they often have some pretty good sales. Now, I've never actually purchased from them directly. I just haven't gotten around to it. Usually I find what I want on Amazon, and that's good enough for me. And generally speaking, I feel like their website prices are sometimes a little high, right, for what they're offering. I feel like they're on the high end, and I feel like I get it for a little bit less when I just order from Amazon. But if there's like a big sale like this martial arts sale going on right now, that might be something you want to take advantage of and actually get some decent prices. But I've never ordered from them. I can't really comment on the experience of how they pack stuff up or whatever. I know they recently made some changes to it sounds like do a better job packing things up. I've never been under the impression that Shout Factory is really the best customer service, if I'm being honest. I love the titles they have out, and I think they do some great work, but sometimes, yeah, I don't know if their customer service is always the best. They've had some mishaps and made some missteps along the way over the years. So I've just never really bought from them directly. I usually, if there's something they are releasing that I want, I'll just usually buy it from Amazon. That seems to be what works best for me. So not a whole lot to say here about Shout and Scream Factory. I mean, I do like the company. I like the titles they put out. So not to badmouth them too much here, but yeah, I mean, it might be a site you want to check out. I know a lot of people buy from them directly. It's just never really been my kind of thing. But some of you may be interested in taking advantage of this sale or other sales that they have in the future. So yeah, Scream Factory, Shout Factory, check it out. And then for the rest of the boutiques, I'm just going to kind of go through my list here in my notes of some of the other boutiques that you can check out. I will put websites to all of these ones I talk about in the description. Like I said, Kino Lorber, sometimes they have great sales. In fact, I don't know if they've got a sale going on right now or not. I don't always keep up on every sale, but Kino Lorber, you can buy from them directly as well. Again, same deal. I always tend to buy from Amazon. Right, that's I usually get most of my Kino Lorber releases from Amazon, but if I'm not opposed to taking advantage of a really good sale from time to time too. MVD, MVD Rewind, MVD Entertainment, they sometimes have some really good sales on. They have a lot of, like Kino Lorber, a lot of American classics, a lot of older B movies, and maybe even classic A movies as well. But MVD, yeah, I've got a number of their titles. They do some really cool stuff. They're very retro. Like sometimes their slipcovers look like VHS style boxes, right? Like they do all kinds of different stuff with their releases. It's subtle. I mean, it's not anything amazing. I don't know that they do a whole lot of like chunky boxes or anything like that, but they have some cool titles. And when they do have a sale, sometimes you can get Blu-rays for, $5.99, $6.99, $8.99. Like they have really good prices on their sales, and I have ordered from them before, and was really happy with what I got from them. So MVD Entertainment, also Criterion Collection. I mean, I know I probably should be looking at their website, but I'm not a big Criterion guy. They don't have that many titles that I care about that much. However, they do sometimes release a title or two here and there that I do care about. And of course, I buy them when that happens. Most recently, I bought Sorcerer, the William Friedkin movie. But I don't really shop on their website at all. In fact, what I've noticed, I think they might still have like a 50% off Criterion sale going on right now on their website, if I'm not mistaken. What I've noticed is that when they're having these 50% off sales, Amazon also has the 50% off sales. So again, being an Amazon Prime member, there's no need for me to actually order directly from Criterion if I'm still going to get the 50% off ordering that Criterion release from Amazon. Right? I mean, so yeah, I don't use Criterion very much, but if you want to kind of see their selection, you can, again, that link will be in the description. You can check it out. A24. This is another studio that sometimes they put out stuff that you can only buy on their website, like the Talking Heads Stop Making Sense concert, which I still haven't picked up yet. I need to get my hands on that. I've been meaning to, but just haven't gotten around to it. But they put out this cool, really nice edition of the Talking Heads Stop Making Sense concert, newly remastered in 4K and on 4K. They do a lot of cool stuff like that. They also had this really cool, which I don't have it nearby to grab it, but the collectible edition of Midsummer, the movie Midsummer, which was a pretty decent movie, I thought. And it's like the director's cut. They give you the full director's cut, which I don't remember how much longer it is. I think it's like 25, 30 minutes longer or something like that. So, but if you're an A24 fan, you can certainly buy from them directly. It's not uncommon for them to have things only available from their website. In fact, that might actually be just kind of their standard protocol. So, but I'll put a link for that as well in case you want to peruse some A24 titles. A relatively new boutique that I've been pretty excited about, at least they haven't released a whole lot of titles, and that is Ignite Films. They're the ones that put out the Reanimator box set. Can you see this? Let me grab this here. Yeah, my Reanimator box set that I did a review on. Nice, big, thick, chunky box. I said it at the time, and I'll say it again. This is absolutely a contender for best 4K of the year this year. We'll find out when we get to December, but this is a great one. So this was Ignite Films, and I think they only have like 2 or 3 films that they put out total. They seem to be pretty new to this whole boutique line, but we got an announcement that they are putting out Bride of Reanimator in this same type of deluxe chunky box treatment. So I'll be looking forward to that release as well. I will absolutely buy that one as well. They are a great boutique. They are kind of pricey. I mean, this was not cheap. I think it was like $80, right? But they're great quality. Really good quality. This is a beautiful edition. The transfer looks incredible. So you definitely can't go wrong with Ignite Films. So check them out as well. Now, I would love to be able to go through a bunch of other boutiques with you guys as well, but if we did that, I'd be here all day. You got to understand, there are literally hundreds of boutiques out there. And what'll happen is, some of them have been around a while, but other ones are just getting started. And we're seeing new ones pop up all the time. Boutiques that only have, 2, 3, maybe 4 titles to their name, right, that they've released so far. But these boutiques, many of them are just doing incredible work. Anyway, these are just some of the boutiques that some of you might be interested in checking out. So feel free to check out that description below where you'll see all the links to everything I've talked about here today. And yeah, I think that's about all I really wanted to go over today. Okay, so that about wraps it up for my latest Back to Basics installment, covering all the places I buy physical media from. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and if you've got any additional recommendations, any sites that I didn't cover in this video, I definitely want to hear about it, because I'm always on the lookout for a cool distributor or a cool retailer that I haven't discovered yet. I always enjoy hearing from you guys and interacting with you guys, so make sure you leave me some feedback down below. Also, don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you soon.